Hello everyone, welcome to another Boomsday project card review. This time we're going to be doing all the Paladin cards. First up, Auto Defense Matrix. 1 mana secret, when one of your minions is attacked, give it Divine Shield. So, giving your minion Divine Shield when it gets attacked usually saves it from dying. So basically it's a 1 mana save your minion from dying. But you can't control which minion is targeted for this and then which minion the opponent traded in. So it's okay. It's not a good secret to play, but it's better to be cheated out with like Bellringer Sentry. But like Secret Paladin wasn't a thing last expansion, and this is the only secret they announced for this expansion. So I don't know if I'd say Secret Paladin probably won't exist this expansion. I don't know, so I don't think this will see play. Next up, 1 mana 1/3 Mech Magnetic Glowtron. Well, this is just insane. It's a 1 mana 1/3, and almost all of them has seen play. There's been a few exceptions like Warbot and Animated Berserker, both for Hunter, but this is just insane. It's a magnetic mech, so it's basically a 1 mana 1/3 buff on other mechs, but just that stat line is great for a 1-drop. Like there's like Dire Mole sees play and that doesn't even have an upside. So this will definitely just see play in Paladin. Like it might replace Dire Mole. I mean, there's no real reason to run both. So if you're running a mech deck, this will see play over Dire Mole. If you're not, this might just see play because it's a common Paladin card and it looks nice. So this is just a strong card. Next, Meccano Egg, 5 mana 0/5, Death Rattle, summon as 8/8 Robosaur. It's also a mech, which is kind of relevant because otherwise it would be pretty awful because Paladin doesn't really have ways of popping the egg. I mean, this is... the mech means that you can magnetize buffs to it so it can actually attack and then die. Otherwise, 5 mana to invest in is like nothing that just uses up your 5 mana really isn't that strong. So I'd say this won't see play, but I mean, egg fans rejoice. More eggs. Next, Anoia Module, 4 mana 2/4 mech, magnetic, divine shield, and taunt. So this is just 2 Anoiatrons stacked on top of each other in terms of stats. It's a 2/4 for 4. So Divine Shield and Taunt is pretty good. The biggest problem is the cost. The 4 mana slot is kind of like always in contention for like Paladins with True Silver. No, Call of Arms was nerfed, so not Call to Arms anymore. But there are a ton of good 4-drops. Like Bellringer Sentry's good. So like this, but as a buff, this is pretty good. It's a 2/4 Divine Shield Taunt for any minion. The Divine Shield's pretty relevant because that means you can just trade into something for no cost, basically. So will this see play? Probably if Mech Paladin becomes a thing, which it probably will, honestly. This will probably see play. Next up, Christology, 2 mana, draw 2 1-attack minions from your deck. This is just insane, honestly. 1-attack minions, there are a ton of good ones, like Righteous Protector, Argent Squire, the Dire Mole, I guess, even. If you're just thinking about 1-drops, there are a ton of good like 1-attack other mana cost minions too, like Tar Creeper and Lanessa, and Paladin Legendary that's gonna come up. So this is just a good card because it's just 2 mana, draw 2 cards. So I'd say it probably will see play. Next up, Shrinkray, 5 mana, set the attack and health of all minions to 1. So this is like equality, but it also affects attack. Will this see play? It's a control Paladin tool. And, well, historically, Control Paladin doesn't see play a lot of the times, even though I wish it would. So Will this save control Paladin? I don't know. Equality by itself is much cheaper, and it really doesn't matter your attack because you combo equality into into consecration or like wild pyromancer anyway most of the time. So it really doesn't matter the attack if the attack itself set to 1 because everything dies anyway, and it's just more expensive. But I mean, it's good. It's kind of like Frost Nova because it delays you dying most of the time. So it might see play if Control Paladin gets good, but Control Paladin probably won't be good. Next up, Prismatic Lens, 4 mana, draw a minion and a spell from your deck, and then swap their costs. So there's 2 ways to use this card. Build your deck with cheap spells and expensive minions, so you get expensive minions discounted. But then then your cheap spell just becomes kind of dead in your hand. Like if you get a secret and Tyrion from this, your secret kind of becomes dead. So, it's kind of too fair. Like the trade-off isn't really worth it, because you get 1 good card and then a dead card in your hand. So I don't know. This probably won't see play. Next up, Glowstone Technician, 6 mana, 3/4. Battlecry, give all minions in your hand +2/+2. More hand buff, I guess, even though there's only Valnir, I think, for hand buff synergies. If you compare this to, like, Grime Street Enforcer from way back when, this costs more, has 1 less attack, but you get +2/+2 instead of just +1/+1. Because Grime Street Enforcer usually, most of the time, it didn't survive the turn it was played. Like the turn after it was played, so you only got the one off of it. So this is more expensive for a better buff, but worse stats. And it really doesn't matter if this one survives or not compared to Grime Street Enforcer. So will this see play? I don't think hand buff Paladin is good, especially not since all of its stuff rotated out, like all of its other stuff, like Smuggler's Run. So this probably won't see play. Next up, legendary spell, Kangor's Endless Army, resurrect 3 friendly mechs. They keep any magnetic upgrades. So this is really good. Mechs themselves, there are a lot of good value mechs. The biggest problem is you kind of have to build your deck around this. Cause let's say you dropped a 1 mana 1/3, then if it dies, then oops, that's in your resurrection pool for forever. Keeping magnetic upgrades is nice, so you can like drop the 1/3 and then magnetize it to something else, so it doesn't become dead when you resurrect it. So, building your deck around this isn't super hard. You just run a lot of early game stall cards like Doomsayer and stuff, and then drop like big mechs on the board, and this might become good. Like the potential for this card to be good depends on whether or not the mechs in this expansion are good enough to be resurrected. And seeing some of the mechs, they're pretty good, and as long as you can get more than 7-8 stats worth of mechs, it's probably fine. Next up, Crystal Smith Kangor, 2 mana 1/2, Divine Shield Lifesteal, your healing is doubled. Well, it can be drawed off the 2 mana, draw 1 attack minions. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this card, honestly. It really doesn't fit in with the other, like, Paladin cards, and it feels more like a Priest card. So, I don't know. It has Divine Shield, so it has synergy with Bolvar, Fireblood. This is just, like, disappointing, honestly. Like, you go from Kangor's Endless Army, which, like, really does help the Paladin mech, like, strategy, to this, which, doesn't really fit into any decks. Maybe it might fit into a deck somewhere. Honestly, with Call to Arms nerf, this card is even worse, so it probably won't see play. And that's it for all the Paladin cards. Next up is Priest cards, I think, so see you next time.